All right. Good afternoon or good evening, depending where you are, everybody. And I want to welcome you and thank everybody for joining in to our second workshop session for this mentoring cohort for providing constructive feedback. We're super lucky to have Mike Bell here with us tonight, and he's going to lead us through this interactive session tonight. When I go ahead to the next slide, Mike. Okay, so as for tonight, I'll quickly introduce myself before I turn over the proceedings for tonight. So my name's Amanda Bonomo, and I'm a member of the Mentorship Steering Committee since the pilot program. And we're, like I said, we're lucky to have Mike Bell here with us tonight. He is an asset management supervisor with the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo. So I'll give him a little bit better introduction a little bit later as I turn over to him. So we're going to go over the mentorship program overview tonight, and then I will turn over to Mike to talk about what is feedback, why it's important, and how to deliver it effectively. There's some really great breakout sessions that he's put together also to foster some group discussion, and then we'll close out with a debrief and call to actions and next steps. Okay, so as everyone on the call, I'm sure, is aware, but we go over it every time anyways, PMAC's vision and mission. So our vision is to be recognized as Canadian leaders in asset management, and the mission is promoting and enabling excellence in maintenance, reliability, and asset management through collaboration, pardon me, applied learning, leadership, and advocacy. Okay, and how we accomplish this is through our strategic goals. And this mentorship program fits in very nicely with strategic goal D, which is to broaden community engagement through connect, learn, and contribute. When I was thinking about this session specifically and how it relates to that goal about connect, learn, and contribute, I was thinking that the success of this program, the success of us as individuals looking to grow ourselves, our personal development, grow our careers. It's really all about our ability to build meaningful relationships with each other, which is exactly what we're going to be focused on doing tonight. I mean, we've all volunteered to participate in this program because we want to improve something, we want to get better, but we need to help each other to do it. And we have to be comfortable being on both ends of the spectrum, both being able to receive feedback and to be able to give it effectively. And it's one of those skills that I think we can always, everybody can improve upon, no matter how good we think we might be at giving feedback. There's always a new tip or trick that we can pick up along the way. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Mike. Like I mentioned, he does work as asset management supervisor for Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo. He currently leads a team of 6 working to advance the region's asset management program. His focus is really on creating cultures and teams that embrace psychological safety, innovation, and breaking down silos in the organization. And he's a strong believer in empowering those that he leads to try new things, build bridges between teams, and create organizational change. So without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Tracy. Sorry, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda. I'm really glad to have this opportunity. My boss kind of let it slip and I kind of jumped on it right away. Leading and creating spaces for psychological safety and growth and feedback is something that I said is one of my key leadership methods. So we're going to start. This is going to be an interactive question, so I hope I can see those mics light up and get some feedback. Anyway, we're going to start with, what is feedback? I have a definition that I really like, but I want to hear from those in attendance what they might consider feedback. I'm going to put someone on the spot if I have to.
A pat on the head.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
What is feedback? I'm looking for like your sort of definition of what feedback would be.
It's an update or a status report giving you an understanding of how you're doing, and hopefully it's constructive and an opportunity for improvement if there is a need for that. Although positive feedback is nice too.
Yes, we all like the positive, but the true feedback looks at the future. So I found a definition as I was building this from Henrik Cedar. He's a Swedish feedback and experience management guru. Feedback is the compass for greatness. It tells you what to avoid, what to learn, and where to excel. The comment about good feedback or positive feedback is nice, but seeking feedback is choosing growth over comfort. If we're looking for true feedback, we have to be ready to hear from both sides of the coin. Feedback is information about past behavior or performance that bridges your current reality to future potential. It looks at what you've done in the past to see how you could do it better or do it differently in the future. Now, there are 5 sort of key aspects of good feedback. I'll just pull them up quickly. Forward focused, it needs to be looking forward. We can't really change how we've done things in the past. We need to look at how we may want to do them differently in the future. Specific, avoid generalities when you're giving feedback. Saying you are terrible at giving feedback is a very general statement. Whereas like that feedback about a new format or a new template specifically wasn't very good. Timely, getting the feedback when it's needed, spoken in a way that can be heard. Balanced, we talk about the positive versus negative feedback. I'm not a big fan of sandwich feedback. Everybody kind of knows that it's a good method, but if you build relationships and you build trust and psychological safety, there's not always good feedback to be given, and there's not always bad. So having to force 2 goods with a bad can make it feel disingenuous. And collaborative, working to do things better in the future. Now, one of the keys to feedback being meaningful and feedback being taken and understood is psychological safety. Can anybody offer me their thought on what a definition of psychological safety is?
I think it would be
Kind of.
creating a safe space for somebody to interact, engage, be vulnerable, trusting that they'll come to you and be straight up with you about how they feel.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Kenneth, if you can answer, if you can come on, if you can unmute. From the mother of psychological safety herself, Amy Edmondson, who I was blessed to see speak at Global Leadership Summit a couple of years ago. Psychological safety is the belief that you can take a risk without being penalized or punished. Safety is not about comfort. It's about trusting that mistakes are learning opportunities, not failures. How many of you work in organizations where innovation and doing new things is pushed and touted as like an organizational value? Just a quick raise hand if you work in one of those organizations. I can put my hand up. We live in one of those as well. Now, how many of you work in an organization where you're told you can't make a mistake? You have to mitigate all the risks. You have to be sure that it's going to be successful. Check in with all the other people that have tried this before and make sure you get rid of any risk. I think it's safe to say most established organizations are like this. They want to do new things, but they don't want to take the risk of doing something actually true and new. One of the keys is making those mistakes or those learning opportunities or those failures to be right-sized. Forums like this, where we have small interactions, small groups working together or interacting, gives you the opportunity to right-size those failures, so it's not, you're not risking your entire organization on one innovation. In psychologically safe environments, questions are valued, not dismissed, and honest feedback improves performance, not as seen as just toughing it out. Formula for growth. Psychological safety plus feedback equals growth. Without that safety, feedback can trigger defensiveness, or they avoid risk, they hide mistakes, they stop learning, they pass the hot potato, they build long, extensive processes that require 10 different signatures and consensus among so many people that it can't be blamed on one person if it doesn't work. With that safety and feedback, with safety, feedback accelerates growth. You can try something new, it can fail, and then you can iterate on it and try something that failure showed didn't work. People will embrace challenge, learn from setbacks, and innovate forward. Now, why feedback matters. I'm not often one to quote the Bible, but I came across this as I was reading a few weeks ago. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27. What happens without feedback? Anyone work in an environment where they don't get any feedback?
You feel rudderless, like you're lost. You don't know whether you're going in the right direction or not.
I like the sailing reference. It's one I use quite frequently. And you're right. Without feedback, we all, without those reality checks, without being told that when we're off course, blind spots persist. You don't follow your strengths, and growth opportunities remain just seeds in the ground, and they aren't often nurtured. Without feedback, our paths are self-plotted. We're not guided by anything other than our own thoughts and minds. And unfortunately, as the first bullet point, we do have blind spots. We have cognitive biases. We do have only our experience to draw from. And that's where a good mentoring relationship can help to co-plot that journey, and the feedback can help you get on to where you want, set a different course on the horizon if necessary. Are all four of you mentors, or are you mentor mentees? I guess put your hand up if you're a mentor. As a mentor or leader of any type, your mindset is the foundation of any relationship you aim to build. It's often the leaders that have to take the first steps. They have to model that vulnerability. They have to model that safety. They have to ask before telling, respond with curiosity, not defensiveness. I know in one or two of my meetings in the last cohort, I had my mentee challenge me on something I was sharing, asking like, why did you do that? I don't quite agree with that. And the natural instinct is to get your back up and sort of go into defensiveness. And I know that was my first instinct, but taking that pause, taking that breath, we had a discussion about it, and it ends up, I didn't handle that quite the right way, or there could have been areas to improve, because even as mentors, we are not perfect. We as humans are not perfect. Creating safety in your feedback. Have any of you used any of these before? I have some observations that could help. Is this a good time? Mistakes like this are normal at this stage. Let's unpack that and see what happened. Let's unpack what happened so we can learn. You don't need to have it figured out yet. Bring me the rough version. We'll shape it together. The last one hits home for me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I don't like, I get that analysis paralysis, and like it needs to be perfect. It needs to be right. It needs to be correct, because I come from organizations where that risk taking is not, if it's not perfect, it's not going to go anywhere. Do any of you have any sort of similar statements or cliches that you might use with either people that you lead or you've used in a mentoring relationship?
I don't mind if you make a mistake, just be consistent.
Yeah.
We deal with a lot of
Same.
data. If you spell something wrong consistently, it's easy to fix. If you spell something wrong randomly, it's really hard to find.
Fair. I know I use my wife as an example in the different things that a mentor will bring to some of these meetings. When my wife sometimes will bring me a problem, I immediately go into problem solve mode because that's my default. At times that causes friction because they're not looking for a solution. Sometimes they know the solution and are just looking to vent. And as much as these relationships are not necessarily meant for venting, sometimes they just want to have the space and have someone in the ear to talk the problem through without you jumping in and trying to solve the problem. So I know sometimes just holding that space and actually not saying anything can help them get to an answer or get to somewhere where they hadn't gotten before. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yes, we could say any information is relevant. We do need the information to help us do better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's one of those part of that is around the honesty and vulnerability part. I can't necessarily help if you're not going to share all the information. If you're going to hold back a key detail because it makes you look bad or holds you in a bad light, we're not getting the full story. And that's part of that, the way that if you can build a psychologically safe relationship, there's that disclosure or that honesty. I know that's how I've approached my mentee. That's how I've approached my mentors. I've been very honest about what my failings are, what I perceive as the things that I'm not good at, and that's what I'm directly asking for help with. And not everybody is quite comfortable with that. Who can give feedback?
I think
Laszlo.
anyone, either the mentor, the mentee, can come from either. Yeah, okay.
Yes. We're 2 for 2. Everybody sort of hit the nail on the head with that one. Strong leaders and mentors set the tone for feedback, positive cultures and relationships. They need to be open to receiving input from anyone, regardless of role or seniority. Different perspectives often bring valuable insights. After all, when someone determines what they see, regardless of your role, we should all strive to be students of humility and accept feedback whenever it's given in good faith. We all know there's people that will go when they receive feedback or what they perceive as criticism, they'll go scorched earth and they'll just start calling apart all of the things that they believe you do incorrectly, or when it becomes like negative, poorly delivered feedback in the heat of the moment. I'm a believer that everybody can be a mentor. Everybody has things that they are amazing at and they have a mastery of that they can teach other people. And you can see it when you finally catch them in that mastery or in that thing. They really light up and start to talk, like they talk with passion, they talk with energy. And though that when you can catch somebody in that and you're learning from them, that's when like real learning takes place. So how do you give feedback? For some of us, giving feedback comes naturally, or we make it seem like it does. Are there any things that you do as a mentor do consciously or unconsciously that you have been told that you do to provide feedback and create that psychological safety that can invite growth in our mentees? I'll share one from my mentor in the last cohort. She said to her current leader, when she is giving feedback or assigning tasks or delegating work, once she wraps it up, she will like directly ask, like, how does that land for you? How does this look for you? And my mentor said when she's come back and said this, I don't understand this, or I don't really think this is the way to go. She has been open to that feedback, and they've came to a solution or a path that is they both collaborated on and both believe will work. We are to our breakout sessions. I've got 2 case studies. Amanda, do you think with just the 4, do we just want to stay together in this room?
I'm okay with that. What do you think, Tracy?
I think that's a good idea. I think we can all talk them out, and they're great case studies. So
We started with silent mentee yesterday. No, the first time we started with the silent mentee yesterday. Let's go with the feedback that backfired for today. So I have this scenario. I'll read it back. Have a listen. Any responses or anything that comes up for you, save, and we can discuss it at the end. So the feedback that backfired. In a formal mentorship program, mentor and mentee agree to be honest with each other. After a few months, the mentee, Chris, shares in confidence that they feel their direct supervisor dismisses their ideas in meetings. The mentor, Alex, encourages Chris to speak up more and back their ideas with data. 2 weeks later, Alex runs into Chris's supervisor and casually says, Chris feels like they're not being heard in your meetings. Maybe you could draw them out more. The supervisor is surprised and at their next one-on-one tells Chris, if you have a problem, come to me, not someone else. Chris feels exposed and betrayed. They stop bringing up real concerns with Alex and stick to safe, surface-level topics. Have any of you experienced this sort of breach of trust in either a mentor-mentee relationship or in a coworkers, colleagues scenario?
I think that's a really common issue of well-intentioned intervention, but then in that case, I think the manager also didn't handle that very well at all. It's hard when there's not an understanding between all these people.
Yeah, exactly. The supervisor, Alex's supervisor, definitely took it far too personally about this, and that it was an attack on him. Where some self-reflection could be like, well, maybe if he's saying that, he is actually feeling that, and it is something that he should work on. But in reality, it should never have gotten that far. It shouldn't. That breach of trust and breach of confidentiality sort of. Does anybody think that mentor-mentee relationship is going to recover?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Is there anything that you think the mentor could do to start the process of rebuilding it, or?
Well, if he acknowledged it in a meeting and said, hey, I understand, lays out the situation, apologizes and starts again. Might take something like that.
Besides advising Chris to, where'd it go? Besides advising him to speak up more and back their ideas with data, how could Alex have worked to prepare Chris to deliver that feedback to the supervisor himself?
They could role play.
Yeah. Much as I hate role playing scenarios and things like these, but yeah, that's it. It can be at least practice to say what you want to get out and how you want to phrase it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think there would be ground rules or boundaries about confidentiality set up at the start of this program, or it looks like this is like a company-wide mentorship program? Is it assumed that if it does it have to be directly stated, or is confidentiality assumed?
I think confidentiality is assumed.
I always like to err on the side of caution and state it outright that unless it's like a code of business conduct thing, like that's the one time where you would have to kind of breach that confidentiality, but otherwise, like put it out there that it's going to stay between the pair.
Have any of you ever been in Chris's situation where you've had a mentor breach your confidentiality and trust? If you're comfortable sharing. Did anything come up for any of you as I was reading? Did any of you get like that? I know when I'm reading something that gets me like in the gut, I get like a knot in the back of my neck, like, ooh, that doesn't sound quite right. Or
I think the context is really important. I mean, if it's a informal mentorship, then maybe there wasn't the focus for both parties on aligning expectations, and I think that's one of the things that should happen, but it doesn't always happen. Sometimes people fall into those relationships without really solidifying expectations on both sides.
that's fair. This one is in a formal program, so this would be kind of like a because we are also lucky in this that most people are not mentoring somebody that they can go and talk to their supervisor. This is a sort of this is that outside, fresh opinion, fresh voiced mentor program more so than a company-wide mentorship succession development program as well. You guys want to do another quick one, or do we want to?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We did the silent mentee last night. I'm actually going to do the other one, the first time leader. Jordan is a high performing analyst, and he's just been promoted to lead a small project team. Their mentor, Priya, has to give feedback after Jordan's first major client meeting. Jordan rushed the agenda, talked over a quieter team member, and missed a key client concern. After the meeting, Priya says, "You did fine, we'll tighten it up next time," and quickly moves on to other work. Later, Jordan hears secondhand that the client was not impressed and that leadership is watching to see if they're ready for the role. Jordan starts avoiding Priya and becomes defensive in meetings, explaining every decision in detail and shutting down questions from teammates.
Can you repeat that, please?
The whole thing, or just the whole thing?
Yeah, please.
All right. Jordan A high-performing analyst has just been promoted to a small project team. Their mentor, Priya, has to give feedback after Jordan's first major client meeting. Jordan rushed the agenda, talked over quiet team members, and missed a key client concern. After the meeting, Priya says, "You did fine, we'll tighten it up next time," and quickly moves on to other work with no other feedback. Later, Jordan hears secondhand that the client was not impressed and that leadership is watching to see if they're ready for the role. Jordan starts avoiding Priya and becomes defensive in meetings, explaining every decision in detail and shutting down questions from teammates.
In this context, would Priya be the leadership that's being referenced there, or is that somebody else?
Priya is the mentor, but she could also be leadership. But by the sounds of it, she's sort of maybe like a supervisor of Jordan, likely Jordan's supervisor of some sort.
Yeah, I think Priya did not deliver on her role properly as a mentor, because while like striking the balance between encouraging a mentee or encouraging or putting an environment of psychological safety, while also pointing out where the person should do better, there should be a balance. So outrightly saying you did great and that's it, and not letting the Jordan know where he could do better. I don't think that was a good one on her part. And also the way Jordan received it as well on his own part. As a mentee, I presume his position here is a mentee aside being the team leader. So he probably understood that Priya did not give him the right feedback and then just went into his shell rather than finding a way to deliver better upon getting the feedback he got from outside or from the general management. So, yeah.
Yeah, he being told you did fine, we'll tighten it up next time. What are we tightening up? What parts, if I did fine, what do I need to tighten up?
Specifics.
It seems Jordan sort of took the no news is good news. So if you're not going to tell me, I'm going to assume I did, like you said, I did fine. I'm going to assume I did fine. But that's not it. If Jordan was aware, I guess that's a question. Do you think Jordan would be aware of the things that he missed? Or is he thinking because she didn't actually bring them up that they aren't really a problem?
You could end up, Jordan might have felt that, and that poor feedback was an attempt to undermine her, set her up for failure later. Maybe there was some jealousy in her being promoted or something. Who knows?
Yep, that's definitely could be a thing for sure.
And I think this is a major challenge between mentors and mentorship and mentees, because sometimes I was in a company and a colleague was kind of trying to advise me, and he said, if they tell you no problem, take it as there is problem. Leadership and mentors try to kind of pacify colleagues or their subordinates or so. But sometimes it's good to say things the way it is, give feedback the way it is. It could be done in a subtle way, in a more subtle way. But if the message is not sent across, there cannot be an improvement. I think that was a challenge between Jordan and the mentor.
Yeah, absolutely. With no message being across, then now this person's sort of career is almost in jeopardy because they didn't get the feedback that they were expecting, or they heard it secondhand, but they didn't take it well secondhand, probably because they were expecting it to come from the person that's supposed to be supporting them. How might you give, if you were Priya in this situation, instead of "you did fine, we'll tighten it up next time," what might your invitation to dig deeper or give feedback that can lead to change?
Yeah, I
often
could.
Go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just trying to say I could specifically mention areas where he did good, and specifically also mention where he could improve or do better next time. So he would be aware of where to improve on or areas to improve on. Thank you.
Amanda, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say sometimes in like situation like this, I like to open just to ask Jordan in this case, how do you think that your presentation went? And it will just kind of gauge me like if we're aligned where maybe Jordan thinks that some things didn't go so well, and or if Jordan thinks they did an A+ job, and then based on how they kind of feel about their own performance, might be having two very different conversations. But the example you gave, I wouldn't use the word mistakes in this case, but it says like mistakes are normal at this stage. This is his first time leading the project team and working through together, like how we can even like make it better for next time.
Yeah, that's great. That invites that mentors. Being a great mentor is asking great questions and asking the questions that help lead. There was a quote: mentors ask the questions that lead their mentees to the edges of their growth. Asking that, how do you feel that went, would give Jordan the opportunity to self-reflect on, did it go well in his mind, and are you going to sort of fun squish him, or like squish him, saying like, oh, this is like, here are the things that you did well or that you didn't do so well. Or if he's already saying like, yeah, I did catch that, he might ask like, how could I do that differently? And then it becomes a conversation, you're working together on how to fix or how to do it better next time. How would Priya start to repair the psychological safety that Jordan has started to withdraw? How do they recover from this?
I think she could engage with him better by maybe calling for both of them having a meeting together and state what she has observed and let him know that, okay, I observed you've been a bit redrawn. Are there any concerns? We could talk about it. And yeah, she could just create an atmosphere for them to talk and state what she has observed too. Yeah.
Would it be similar to the last one, in which an apology or an admission that they might have left some things out to make it easier on themselves be a good place to start?
Yeah, I think that would be a good way too, as well, to apologize, like, okay, for the nature of her feedback or something.
Have any of you experienced anything similar to these two scenarios in your careers that you'd be comfortable sharing and how it was dealt with? With that, we're on to call to action and next steps. So we are about halfway through this cohort of the mentorship program, and going away from today, think of anything that's been shared or anything that's come up for you and how you could start applying it to your mentorship approach. Are there any adjustments you need to make to ensure your mentee gets the most out of this relationship over the remaining few months? If we can model growth and model that mindset of continuous learning, continuous improvement, that's how we can show them how to do it as well. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to tune in this evening. I believe there are another session or two being planned in the coming months, but details and topics will be shared through email, I believe, Amanda and Tracy.
Yep.
And then last but not least, any questions, comments, things that are coming up for you as we've worked through this tonight?
Yeah, I do have a comment. I just want to say I enjoyed the session and I was able to learn quite a couple from it. Like most often than not, we put more responsibility on the mentors, but as a mentee, you do have a role to play as well. So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship where both parties would have to benefit from. So as a mentee, you also do need to create some psychologically safe atmosphere for your mentor to give you objective criticism where needed. So I was able to learn that. So it's quite a good session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. We had somebody share, a mentor share last night that as they started giving feedback to their mentee, the mentee actually got quite hostile and defensive and started crossing the boundaries of a mentor-mentee relationship to a point where I believe they may be looking at potentially terminating the relationship. And that's that any sort of relationship is that give and take, and you have to create that space that works for the two people in that relationship. Some of these mentor-mentee relationships work well with a defined goal that they're going to work through every week or every 2 weeks and have progress check-ins and steps. I've had one relationship, one mentee that was like that, and my other two have more been they just sort of bring what they're struggling with at the time, and that's the space that we've created that they can bring what they're working with currently. Because with this program being 6 months long, the way that our day-to-day and our weeks and our plans change, what you're working on for 2 months might disappear all of a sudden. You might get reassigned to something else. So having that space to shift and pivot to what is really important to the mentee I think is a better service to them than like a fairly rigid structure.
Thank you,
That's
Michael.
it from us. Oh,
Good.
sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
Basil. Oh,
Just thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate your time.
You're welcome, and thank you for attending, and thanks for your questions and interaction, and have a good evening. I hope it's nicer where you are than where I am right now. So
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
I
Thank you very
want to
much.
say thanks again to Mike for putting together this this interactive session. It was awesome, and I've attended both, and I've had different takeaways from each. So I appreciate you lending your expertise and sharing with the team here, and also for everyone else for calling in and actively participating and engaging in the conversation. That's what makes these things work. So As was mentioned, we're just firming up on the next couple workshops that are going to be run with who's going to be delivering them on the topics. And those will be sent out by email as soon as we have all the details ready for everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.